Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone doing this afternoon? Not great. Sorry. You're about to be good by the time you're done listening to this beautiful voice. So, question. If I borrowed any one of you now $1 billion, stay with me. If I borrowed any one of you $1 billion, and in let's say like 2 years from now, um, there aren't, in terms of repayments, there aren't like any punitive measures. Okay, there are punitive measures, but like there really isn't any accountability. And at the end of the day, even if you default, all you have to do is come back to me and say, oh, sorry, things didn't really go that well, but can I get an extra $1 billion? And, I give you a tap on the back. And at the end of the day, give you another extra billion. Would you feel incentivized to actually use up the funds I gave you, or would you just keep coming to me for extra money? Like, honestly, you keep coming, right? Okay, very good. So my name remains Adaku Apugo. I have spent the past 10 years of my life working at the legislative arm, advising the leadership of the arm of God, advising the leadership of the House. I am a policy analyst, a political consultant, and policy consultant. So I'm here to speak to my distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the ineffectiveness of foreign aid to developing nations. So the presentation I'm about to make is based off of a book and research done by an economist, Dambisa Moyo. Dambisa Moyo wrote on debt aid, and she opined that in the past 50 years, more than $1 trillion, stay with me, more than $1 trillion in development-related aid has been transferred from rich countries to developing nations, but that aid hasn't necessarily translated into economic developments. Now, the interesting thing is that as opposed to our brethren or brothers in Asia, they have gotten little to almost no aid, little aid actually compared to African nations. But from her research in the 1970s, most of Asia was poorer than Africa. But right now, the reverse is the case in the sense that most of Africa is now poorer than Asia. So what exactly is foreign aid? The aid I talk about, I'm not focusing on humanitarian aid. Like, for example, when you have a disaster like a tsunami or an earthquake, and then everyone is now forced to donate. I'm talking here of government to government assistance, like you have with the IMF, you have with the World Bank, where you have a situation. So what is aid actually? Aid, when you talk of economic related aid, is transfer of government assistance from government to government, be it in the form of like a loan, like a government loan from, like I said, IMF and World Bank. So what exactly are the effects of this aid? First and foremost, of course, is corruption. And I use that term broadly. We all know, okay, fine, there's corruption and all that. But when you have a system when there isn't really necessarily accountability, like we can see in Nigeria, like almost every AK market day, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, comes to us and says, we need to borrow, we need to borrow. But you can see that this is not necessarily translating down into developments, because at the top, we know what goes on, like these monies are shared, and not much actually now is translates into economic developments. Then secondly, you have what do you call it, like you have this loss of competition. So imagine you have Abdul, who is a mosquito net maker. At the end of the day, you there's a problem, maybe like where you say, okay, we're trying to eradicate malaria, and then you have a situation where the foreign market is now flooded with assistance. You say, okay, we're going to support, in fighting this challenge. And then they flood the markets at the end of the day with like mosquito nets from abroad. What happens to Abdul? There's loss of competitiveness in the sense that he cannot compete with the market because the whole market has now been flooded with, with the mosquito nets. Then secondly, it also stifles innovation and entrepreneurship. I go back again to Abdul. You have Abdul, who is a mosquito net maker. It's like he's a local producer. By the time you have a situation where the goods are flooded with foreign goods, because a lot of times, even when these aids are given, there's like a lot of stringent there are stringent, like it's, oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, so there are stringent conditions, so, and a lot of these stringent conditions end up now benefiting the people who are contributing. They tell you, okay, even if you're going to donate mosquito nets, you must buy from us, be it maybe that's Germany that's giving you these loans. So in the end, to be honest with you, 100% of, let's say they give you $1 billion, like 700 million in the end now goes back to them. So enough of the issues. So what exactly does Dambisa opine can be solutions, as opposed to collecting monies from this government? First and foremost, she talks of infrastructure development. So you have, for example, with agriculture, you can help, be it maybe in terms of like for the farmers, you can build dams, that can improve their, like in terms of water supply, in terms of supplying the farmers at the end with materials that will help with their, that will help, with their agricultural practice. Then she talks about increasing FDI, foreign direct investments, be it via, what do you call it, like trade, as opposed to going and looking for monies, you can actually improve again your infrastructure so that you can be competitive in the international market. I'm sorry, my time is up. Thank you so much for listening. I remain Adaku.